The Goodwill Girls High School and Composite Pre-University College celebrates its 170th anniversary in 2025. Situated on Promenade Road, Bangalore, its name comes from the surname of one of the managers of the school, Fred Goodwill, who was also my grandfather. Fred left a number of photographs of the school, which are included in this video. Both Fred and Alice, his wife, came from humble beginnings. Fred's father, Thomas Goodwill, had a small farm of 56 acres in Helperby, North Yorkshire. There were 5 children, Fred being the youngest, and born in 1874. Fred went to the village school where he excelled and became what was known as a pupil teacher. Fred is on the left with one of his brothers in this photograph. Thanks to the financial support of the whole family, Fred went on to theological college at Handsworth and Leeds. Leeds had a Wesleyan missionary society which had been founded in 1813, and one of the countries it worked in was India. It was while Fred was at Handsworth College that he met his future wife, Alice Haynes. Alice was born in 1870 and was a member of the Primitive Methodist Church in Old Hill, where her father, Alfred, was a local preacher. Alfred was a boat loader on the canal, and his wife, Ellen, had another hard job. She made nails. But when Alfred died at the age of 35, she had a complete breakdown. It was left to Alice, aged 13, to support the whole family, her mother, herself, and 2 younger siblings, by working as a seamstress. Fred was ordained at Leeds on August 2nd, 1897, and just a month later he set sail from London aboard a ship bound for Madras, Chennai. Fred had wanted Alice to go with him, but sensible Alice thought it best that he should go on ahead to sort things out, and she would follow. Surely nothing could have prepared Fred for his first experience of India. This might have been his first view of land after many weeks at sea, but he still had a 200-mile train journey to Bangalore before he reached his destination. What sights, sounds, and smells must have assailed the young man as the train rattled through the Indian countryside. Fred joined a group of fellow Christians in Bangalore as part of a well-established community. But it was quite a while, 4 years in fact, before Alice was able to join him. And in 1901, August of that year, Alice travelled to London to board a boat bound for Bombay, now Mumbai. As far as I know, she knew no one else on that ship. She and Fred were married in September 1901. What a year this was for Alice. In April 1901, the census records that she was a seamstress in Old Hill, and by September of the same year, she had sailed halfway across the world on her own and changed her name to Alice Goodwill. The couple went on to have 3 children, Frederick Haynes, Helen Margaret, and Bessie Winifred. Fred's predecessors had established churches and built congregations, and they had also built schools. Some were boys' schools, but the Methodist Missionary Society were also pioneers in promoting the education of girls. Mrs. Little started it all in Bangalore by establishing a school for girls in 1855. But before then, the Missionary Society had acquired an area of land for a girls' school in 1821, and in 1888, the school moved to its present site. It was called the Wesleyan Tamil Girls' School and included a boarding school. English headmistresses ran the school in the early days, with Fred Goodwill as its manager from 1897 to 1925. The subjects taught were Tamil, history, geography, English, scripture, sewing, and crochet. Fred's wife Alice helped with the sewing and the crochet. But this was not a school to teach girls to be good housewives, but to serve their communities. It was there to help its students achieve their potential in whatever sphere they chose. Fred's views on girls' education are interesting. In his leaving address, he said, "In preparing girls for future work, we remember that we are preparing workers to hasten the time when foreign missionaries will be a thing of the past. Boys and girls were seen as equals, and education would be a significant key in changing the girls' lives and that of their country." In 1906, Miss Rose Sisterson was appointed headmistress and oversaw the transition of the school to a high school in 1914. Miss Sisterson's dedication to her job meant that she stayed in post for 32 years, and the school acknowledges her discipline, interest in every child, and her kindness. Rose Sisterson and Fred Goodwill, and Alice as well, were a good team. Fred, a Tamil scholar, was a stickler for academic achievement, and he knew the power of education in bringing children out of poverty. Rose Sisterson was determined to keep her school up to the required standard. And Alice Haynes Goodwill was a supporter of both of them. Miss Roper joined the school in 1920, and her love of gardening was one of her legacies. After 25 years in India, it was time for Fred and Alice to leave their home and return to England. The final addresses speak of Fred's support for poor children and the fact that he was a spiritual leader, a guide, and a sincere friend. Fred would have loved that. Over 25 years in India, these had become his people, his friends, and this was his culture. He would never have left India, I am sure, had it not been for Alice's insistence that they return. But back to England they came, to minister in Bilston, Willenhall, Wednesbury, and oddly in Redditch, which must have been delightful. And there the story might end as an interesting bit of family history, but for more recent developments. Fred died in 1969, and the school was renamed the Goodwill Girls High School in his honour. The 1995 school magazine recorded that he had contributed to the astonishing progress of Tamil works in Bangalore. His name will always be honoured in this school and in the Wesleyan Tamil Church. Fred would have been so pleased that all the teaching staff were Indian, and there were 1,200 children from all sections of society, the majority coming from economically weaker groups within the school. The best education a girl could have sums up the Goodwill Girls High School and Composite Pre-University College, with facilities second to none and a curriculum spanning all contemporary subjects. Mrs. Little was the pioneer with the vision and tenacity to provide education for all girls, regardless of caste. But every headmistress since then has played her part in making the school the success it is today.